Now, here's Mary Dolan and Dave Bishop. Good. I'm still adjusting the camera. Thursday. How's it going, Mary? I'll flip it over to you.
Okay, all right. Well, going good. And it is Thursday, and I don't know about you, and I think I feel like I say this every week, but I did wake up this morning and thinking, are you kidding me? Is it already Thursday? I felt like, it's Monday. And here we are.
It's been a Monday for me.
Has it?
Yes,
Okay.
it's just one of those nothing has gone right this morning type things.
Well, we have those days for sure, don't we?
Hence I'm still adjusting the camera, but
Yeah.
sad thing is I got to actually flip the camera on me to adjust everything properly
All right.
on the
Well, that's
camera.
okay. People don't mind a few adjustments here and there, so no big deal. Anyway, well, first thing I want to talk about was some really, really exciting coverage last night. Boy, I told you that Henning and Ada Borup West were going to have a barn burner. Came down to 2 points
Nice.
in the last. Actually, the clock had gone to 0, and the officials had to gather on the court to see, was it really 0, or should there, after that shot that made it a 2-point game, should there have been a second or two on the clock, which may or may not have made any difference, but you never know come tournament time. But they had been, Ada Borup West had been down by as much as 10 for a while, came back, and then it was 7-5, 7-5, 6, and they got it down to 4, and then in that last second, put up a bucket and made it a 2-point game. So it was really exciting all the way to the end. Henning comes out on top of that one.
Nice.
And those Henning Hornets, man, they have a team. The coach's last name is Misagatis. I can't forget it because I heard it so many times last night. And then his son, I think it's Kale Misagatis, just a great player. Well, they've got lots of great players. So did both teams, but you know what, I came away from that game last night. It was not, we couldn't watch it anywhere.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it streaming anywhere. So of course I tuned into, I think it was over on KJ Country, and listened to Craig give the play-by-play. And I'll tell you what, you know, Craig and I have been friends for years and years
Yep.
and years, and I love that guy. But you know what? You listen to that game, I don't think there's a better broadcaster out there than
No.
Craig Olson. My goodness.
I had the pleasure working with Craig a couple of weeks ago when we were doing a streaming game. We were at the old gym, the old Kennedy gym.
Yes.
The gym
Roosevelt,
I remember.
yeah.
The old Roosevelt gym. And it was so fun sitting there listening to Craig.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't believe, and as we were sitting there, John said, does he have somebody next to him keeping track of all these stats? And I said,
No.
nope, that's all him.
He's got like all these
But
papers in front of him.
Yep, and he knows when he
Yep.
talks about a kid, he knows he's a 6'4" junior. He might know where he has college aspirations. I mean, he knows so much about every player.
Yeah, Craig's a gem.
Oh my goodness. And makes the game so much fun to listen to. You feel like you're watching it.
Oh yeah.
When Craig's doing the play-by-play, and I don't know. He's one of my favorite people in the whole wide world.
Oh yes.
Always has been.
Yes,
And
yes.
when we listened last night, we're like, oh, there's a reason that guy is a broadcaster.
Yep.
So anyway, it was really fun, and they were over at Perham in the Hive, which is a super fun place to watch a game. And yeah, lots of fans on hand. And then let's see, Pelican Rapids won their contest last night. I think they played East Grand, if I'm not mistaken. And
Sounds about right.
yeah, so anyway, now that was for the subsection title. Now we go for the section title and then on to state, I
Yep.
believe. Is that how it goes?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's changed so much since I was in high school. We didn't, we had regions. I don't remember if we had sections.
We had sections when I was in high school.
It feels like there's, I don't know, it's much more convoluted. There's many different sections, and there didn't used to be. There used to be just a few, I think 4 or something like that. Anyway, Craig could tell me the whole history, I'm sure. But anyway, so it looks like, I know that those 2 teams for sure are going forward. I didn't hear the outcome of the West Central game last night, or was it West Central against East Grand Forks?
No, it was Central versus.
Oh,
Wait.
Benson. They played Benson.
Yeah, I was looking at the girls' basketball
Yeah,
in
so
the state playoffs.
I
They
did
played.
not hear that game, and frankly, the game that we were listening to, the Ada Borup and Henning game was so exciting. We just didn't want to tune. Usually, I'm on the Fergus Now app, and I go back and forth so I can be listening to a couple of games at once. But it was so exciting, we hated to tune away. So I didn't hear the end of that one. So I don't know who. And I
Looks
think,
like West Central and Henning play tonight,
okay,
and I think it's on Z103 at 5:30
boy, they didn't.
pregame. So
They played 2 days in a row,
yeah, that's what it's looking like.
but they all did. They all
Yeah.
played last night, and they had to play hard to get those wins. So, yeah. So West Central and Henning, that ought to be a good one too.
Yes,
All right, and I believe that is for this section
championship.
championship stations last night. So that was a lot of fun. Remember, I told you, speaking of sports, that there was that high school girl that was running track, and they were doing a relay, and she saw
hit a
that this
guy
girl
or
was
hit the person. Yeah.
was gonna go
Yep.
ahead of her. She took the baton and hit her on the head. She is actually facing assault and battery charges,
Good.
for which I'm glad.
Yeah.
I mean, she should be, right?
You can't you can't just do whatever you want. I mean, especially when you hit somebody in the head with and those things are metal, if I remember right. Basically,
Yeah, I think they are too. I mean,
hit somebody in
they're
the head with a
light,
metal
but
bar.
yeah, and just ridiculous. But anyway, good to know that she sort of, it got more than a slap on the hand.
Yeah.
At least it looks like they might. I thought this was very interesting. I read an article. Charlie Kirk was invited to be the very first guest on Governor Gavin Newsom's new podcast. Now, you might say, what on earth do those two have in common, and why would somebody like Gavin Newsom, who is as crazy far left as anyone could be, and Charlie Kirk would be as right probably as anyone could be, or at least far right. Anyway, so Gavin Newsom asks Charlie Kirk to be his very first guest.
Well, why not?
And people were chiding Charlie Kirk, saying, "What are you doing? Why would you ever give him the time?" Anyway, a few people said that they did complain that Charlie shouldn't have given the show at all. He said, "How in the world um, would you want to help a platform of Gavin Newsom?" Anyway, he says that what he thinks is happening is Gavin Newsom, of course, they know he wants to run for president in
Yep.
3 years. And he sees this wokeism, this far left way of thinking is we've talked many times about that pendulum swinging
Yep.
back. And he sees that, and he likened it to Wayne Gretzky, who, of course, hockey great. And one of the things he was so good at, he could see where the puck was going to be in the future, and
Yep.
he was there. So he likened it to Wayne Gretzky, and he says Gavin Newsom can see where this political puck is going to be
And he's
in
trying to be
3
there.
years. And I would like to get on that a little more conservative bandwagon to hopefully, take a few more people with me. And Charlie Kirk says to that, be careful. Do not fall into believing what Gavin Newsom says as he begins to
Do a
swing
shift,
right. Yeah. So you're going to see that shift in the next 2 years before the midterm elections, too. I think there's a lot of Democrats that are kind of tapping the brakes on
realizing
all
that,
this
yeah.
baloney, and they're, I wouldn't say they're becoming conservative, but they are certainly,
Pretending to.
yeah, and certainly going a little bit more towards center than they have been before, because there was no further to go on the left. They have to come back.
Hey, I do want to correct something real quick. When I was looking at the schedule, I got something wrong. The West Central and Henning play tomorrow.
Okay, good. They get a day off. Good.
I for some reason I had it. Today was Friday. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how my Monday has been.
Okay.
The West Central girls play today. So
Okay.
the girls play at State today, and then the boys and Henning will play on Friday tomorrow.
Okay. That sounds great. Well, I'm glad they get a day off to
Yep.
rest those legs because,
Big shout out to Mark Johnson, one of our play-by-play guys. I'm picking that up. He's like, "Hey, Dave, they play Friday."
oh, okay.
I'm like, "Today isn't Friday." Oh yeah, it isn't.
Okay, well, good. It's a good thing that somebody's
Yes,
keeping us
we
on the
know we've
straight
got
and
at least a
narrow.
listener.
Yeah, one, Mark Johnson, one of our colleagues. Let's see. Major companies, including Google, Amazon, Meta, and others, pledged to support tripling nuclear energy capacity by 2050, as organized by the World Nuclear Association. Anti nuclear groups such as Greenpeace advocate for sustainable energy alternatives, citing the safety concerns and high costs of nuclear power. So, it feels like everybody's trying to sorta come a little bit further right, don't you think?
Yeah, they've been trying this for a while. I
They
still
have.
the amount of permits and licensings that go into that. If I remember right, there's one that they've been trying to get off the ground for like 20 something years, and it's just stuck in permitting
Ugh,
purgatory.
yeah. All right, we've heard this story over the past, days and a couple of weeks maybe. Tesla vehicles, their dealerships, and charging stations across the United States have been targeted by vandals and protesters since Elon Musk became involved in the US government. And you know what else is really funny? And it makes these people, it outs how really ridiculous and stupid they are. They're taking their Teslas back and saying, "Keep it, we don't want it." Or they're selling it for, pennies on
Dirt
the
cheap, yeah.
dollar. But if
They're
they would
losing
think
money.
well, if they would think for a moment, Elon Musk already has his dough for that car.
Yep,
You already bought it.
yep.
So if you trash it or leave it at a dealership and say you can have it or sell it for pennies on the dollar in protest, well,
If somebody would
there
like
goes 100
if
grand,
somebody
right?
would like to sell their Tesla to me for pennies on the dollar or just give it to me, I will gladly take it.
For
And
science.
for science, yes, I will gladly take it as somebody who's gone on record of making fun of electric vehicles. I will take the penance of driving a
Right,
Tesla if you
right.
give it to me.
Well, isn't it interesting though? These people they think that some kind of protest
Yeah,
is to get rid of their Teslas
I'm gonna
or to trash them or whatever. You know what? Elon already has his money for that. Just keep driving it. Just doesn't even make any sense. What a
let's
stupid
let's
protest.
let's put it this way: you punish anybody who drives a Cybertruck because those things are the
Those are
ugliest thing.
so ugly. It
They're
looks like
so
something that
ugly.
somebody made for, like a Halloween
It
gag
looks
or
like a
something.
PlayStation 1 graphic.
It's really bad.
I mean, it's just pixels.
Yeah. Okay, I saw another story, and I'm doing this one off the top of my head because I'm not exactly sure where I read it. I think it was on Fox News this morning, but it was with regard to, and this was in Tennessee, so nothing local. It was a McDonald's in Tennessee, and they opened a new store, and it had, of course, a play place.
Yep.
Now, you and I know that a McDonald's place has, things to climb on, and it's got those ball pits and all that
Yep.
stuff that I wouldn't want my kids climbing all over, but whatever. Um,
Build up your immunity. Have
yeah,
your
I
kid
know.
play in the ball pit.
No kidding. So guess what? Guess what this one has? The play place has two chairs and two screens, so kids can sit down and play on a screen. That is what we think now is a play place.
Oh,
Isn't that sad? Gosh, I mean,
wow.
get out and do something. Move.
That is truly sad.
Yeah. All right. And of course, Canada and the EU imposed retaliatory tariffs on billions of dollars worth of U.S. goods in response to Trump's steel and aluminum tariffs. China is also preparing to retaliate. These actions could lead to a global trade war, impacting economic growth and causing market instability. However, the market kind of rebounded yesterday, and inflation seems to be falling. So maybe these are marks of something good to come. And the Trump administration plans to reconsider the scope of the Clean Water Act, potentially reducing protections for wetlands and other water bodies. The move aims to address concerns from farmers and limit federal interference. Wouldn't that be nice?
This has
Um,
been something that's been going on. It's called a WOTUS, the Waters of the United States, and what is considered a navigable piece of land. Democrats and Republicans, if there was ever an issue that they both see highly different, it's that.
Yeah, for sure.
They want to use the same rules that you'd use for like the Mississippi, boat traffic and stuff on like the smallest streams. I mean, streams that only exist for like a day, like when it rains.
Yeah, so it is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's something that they've been dealing with in agriculture for a long time.
There's a lot of ridiculousness out there,
Yep.
isn't there? Anyway, well, speaking of rain, we could in the near future, tomorrow, as early as tomorrow, see rain, freezing rain, snow, or maybe all three.
Oh, we're seeing it all.
Yeah, we're gonna see it all.
This
Is
weekend.
will it start as rain
Yes.
on Friday?
Yes.
Okay, like midday are we looking?
Midday-ish. The
Uh,
last forecast I saw, it said midday, about
Okay.
10, 11.
I heard on our station this morning, one of our meteorologists suggested 2 to 4 inches of snow for us. It had been 3 to 5, so I don't know if that's a little bit of good news. But it looks like we might see some white
It
stuff.
all depends on when it goes from rain to freezing rain to sleet to snow.
Oh boy, that freezing rain, that is just, I
It-
wish it would just rain. Wouldn't that be great? Clean
Yeah.
things up. And I think the rain is more beneficial in terms of moisture to us than snow is. Although I guess we'll take whatever
We'll take
moisture
what we
we can
get,
get.
yeah.
After the break, as we mentioned on our promos, we're gonna. I had a lot of people asking me for that potato recipe that I talked about.
And I'd recommend streaming on the video because we actually have the recipe. We can bring it up.
Okay, and then you can they can see the picture too?
I don't know if the picture's on there.
Okay, all right. Well, and if you are not streaming, you're just tuned in this morning, no big deal. You can always go back and look at that.
Yep.
And otherwise, just give us a call here. We'll make sure that you get it one way or another. But we're going to actually give you that recipe and tell you how to do it. I had so many people asking me about it because people love a good, something different, but easy potato recipe. So I think that's what this is. So anyway, we'll talk about that when we come back on Morning Talk.
Back with more Morning Talk with Mary Dolan and Dave Bishop. Brought to you by Pioneer Care and Fergus Falls Monument Company. After the markets on News Talk 1250 KBRF. Depend on it.
What's the ox say?
Today on Hot Talk with the Ox, right away, we'll talk with Bill Glahn from the Center of the American Experiment, who was bashed by Democrats at the Capitol when trying to expose fraud. Later, we hope to chat with House leadership about the new committee sharing agreement after Tuesday's election. Then the latest on Trump, tariffs, Ukraine, and such. So tune in to Hot Talk with the Ox today from 2 to 5 on News Talk 1250 KBRF.
What's the ox say?
Winter weather can change quickly and can be hazardous. Listen to News Talk 1250 KBRF for the latest weather-related postponements and cancellations. Brought to you by Buyer Towing and Transport, Northwest Tire, and Ugstead Plumbing and Heating. Schools, businesses, churches, and events. You can find postponements and cancellations on KBRFradio.com and the Fergus Now app. Weather-related announcements brought to you by Ugstead Plumbing and Heating, Northwest Tire, and Buyer Towing and Transport.
KBRFradio.com news. Get the news that matters delivered straight to your inbox. With KBRF Daily Headlines, you'll stay up to date on everything happening in your community. Sign up today and receive a roundup of the day's top stories all in one email. It's fast, convenient, and it's always free. From local updates to breaking news, KBRF brings you the headlines you need right at your fingertips. Visit KBRFradio.com and sign up for email news sent right to your inbox, delivered by Cooper's Office Supply.
Get the latest in ag information and market updates with the Red River Farm Network. Monday through Friday, News Talk 1250 AM KBRF. Depend on it.
Good morning. Market update on the Red River Farm Network. I'm Randy Conan. Grain markets seeing double-digit gains going on here in the wheat, in the soybeans, corn 4 to 8 cents higher. Heartlandinvest.com CTA Eugene Grainer says the wheat market is what's leading these grains here today.
It is the wheat trade. Kansas wheat leading the recovery as it has been doing this week. Moving average resistance for a lot of these were hit early in the week. For those that follow 40 days and 50-day moving averages, caused a little retreat, but we are powering higher. And obviously, it is the dry weather down on the hard red winter wheat belt. The crop conditions likely going to be lower next week. They're going to endure a lot of wind this weekend, along with high temperatures. You know, storms in the east to Georgia up to Iowa, and then, or should I say Georgia up to Indiana, and then we have storms from Iowa over to Wisconsin. But as far as the plains are concerned, dry, as had been the case. And now that crop is, breaking dormancy. And the condition ratings are anticipated to be less next week than they are this week.
And cattle futures chasing the cash trade.
The explosion in the box beef market since bottoming, as it seasonally does, end of February. We've seen that big recovery off of last week's washout with all the tariff and stock market craziness. Now this week, stock market's still going down, but the cattle market's firmed up. They fully expect steady cash trade this week, well over $200, possibly $201, maybe $202 is the prospects of it this week. We'll see. The board, the April contract had a high of over $207 here earlier in January. Its recovery has not been as robust as the...
You're listening to the Red River Farm Network. This is Corn Matters, an update from the Minnesota Corn Growers Association. University of Minnesota Extension educator Brad Carlson is with us. Brad, you've got Nitrogen College events coming up.
That's right. We'll be up in Northwest Minnesota on Wednesday the 19th and Thursday the 20th. We'll be at the Northwest Research and Outreach Center, the University of Minnesota Crookston. We'll be doing a deep dive into the 4 R's, adapting nitrogen management to climate. We've got a session on reducing nitrate loss to water, looking at some of the environmental outcomes, water quality outcomes. All these sessions are just kind of a la carte. Take them as you want them. We don't have a lunch provided because people kind of come and go. We don't know exactly how many people there are, so plan accordingly. But thanks to the generous support of Minnesota Corn, there is no cost to attend, so therefore no pre-registration, and we look forward to people just kind of showing up and taking part of these trainings.
The mission of the Minnesota Corn Growers Association is to identify and promote opportunities for corn growers. That's because corn matters.
Sign up for the Red River Farm Network's weekly e-newsletter. FarmNet News arrives in your inbox every Monday morning. American Sugar Beet Growers Association President Neil Rockstead is a subscriber.
That weekly email that the Red River Farm Network comes out with is my go-to place for ag news. If there's only one thing that I read all week in regards to ag news in the Red River Valley and nationwide, it's always your email, hands down.
FarmNet News, delivering news to your email every Monday. Subscribe at rrfn.com.
Don't miss the dry bean scene every Friday at 12:35 on the Red River Farm Network. Specialty crop markets are special and require more digging than corn, soybeans, and wheat. We do that digging by talking with numerous crop scouts, growers, and processors in the North Harvest region or wherever beans that affect local markets are grown. So follow the dry bean scene every Friday at 12:35 on this Red River Farm Network station. The dry bean scene, brought to you by the North Harvest Bean Growers Association. July wheat, Minneapolis is 12 1/4 higher, 606 3/4. Chicago wheat's up 12 cents now. Kansas City May wheat up 17 1/4. May corn 9 higher, 469 3/4. December corn's up 4 1/2 at 452 3/4. May soybeans 16 1/2 higher at 1016 3/4. November soybeans 12 higher, 1018 1/2. In Winnipeg, May canola is $9 a metric ton higher, for 582.30 Canadian. April live cattle down 42 cents, $200.97. August is down 20 cents, and April feeder cattle down 37 cents at 280.37. May is down 20 cents. April lean hogs down $1.12 at 85.37. This is the Red River Farm Network.
I'll never forget the time our annual meeting nearly fell apart because our venue was too small. We were practically elbow to elbow, and it was impossible to stay focused. Then I found the Bigwood Event Center, and it was a game changer. Their space had just the right feel, roomy and flexible, whether we needed a smaller setting or a larger space, or both. They even set up an outdoor area for our team. They thought of everything. It made all the difference. Meetings with impact begin at bigwoodeventcenter.com.
Community is important, and you'll find it at Pioneer Point. Spacious apartments, thoughtfully designed for older adults, provide the best in senior living. Heated parking and elevator access makes life easy. Your neighbors at Pioneer Point hold a welcoming, family-like approach to living. Choosing from an array of special features and options, you'll find many ways to define your lifestyle at Pioneer Point. Call or schedule your tour online today at pioneercare.org.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease, it'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
Presented by Fergus Falls Monument Company.
March is Food Shelf Month in Minnesota. The number of people relying on help from food shelves is at a record high, an increase of over 30% in the last year, according to Hunger Solutions of Minnesota. Support your local food shelves with a donation today.
With the world's most efficient water softeners, drinking water systems, and bottleless coolers, Culligan Water helps you cut back on waste and enjoy more of the water you love. Call Culligan Water of Elbow Lake and Fergus Falls today.
The News Talk 1250 KBRF. Listen anytime, any place with the Fergus Now app on your phone. Checking the forecast for today. We are going to be looking at a very breezy 64 for today's high. 66 tomorrow with that rain, snow, sleet mixture all coming in here tomorrow and into Saturday. So that's going to make your Sunday trip to church a little icy. So keep that in mind. 29 for Saturday's high, 11 for Saturday night's low, 28 on Sunday, 45 Monday, 40 Tuesday, 36 on Wednesday. Right now, Fergus Falls 43. It's Morning Talk brought to you this morning and every morning by our friends at Pioneer Care and at Fergus Monument.
Looks like it's going to be a little more typical mid-March weather as we get into next week. You know, high 30s, low 40s. I think that's about seasonal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about average.
Yeah. And yeah, so we're going to have kind of a chilly weekend. Sorry about that if you had any outdoor plans.
I was hoping that it's going to be nice and I was going to smoke some ribs, but I don't know. I still might smoke them, but I got to start thawing them if I.
Yeah, don't. It's warm enough to do that, don't you think?
Well,
At 28 or whatever?
Yeah, I was smoking turkeys at 2 below. So
Right. So you can do it. I know John smoked a whole bunch of pork butt last week.
Yeah.
So we make the whole neighborhood smell good. But it was for a basketball dinner. So got him smoked and then put him in the oven for hours and hours and hours at like 200 or something. But it was the most delicious meat. And I don't usually say that because I don't like smoked anything.
Yep.
But this did not taste smoky to me. But he used apple juice.
Yep.
And it gave it the most unique flavor. It was so good.
Use apple juice and apple cider vinegar.
Okay. Well, it was really good, whatever he did. And so that was fun. But we're going to give you that recipe after we talked about those potatoes.
We're going to cross our fingers and hope it pops up.
Okay. Anyway, it is just really a good recipe, and it's super easy, and it's really fast. 2 dishes that I found Facebook recipes, and I figured this was a close enough friend that he could be a guinea pig for the weekend. So I tried a soup that turned out to be fabulous, and then these potatoes. So
Yeah.
I had 2 wins
Yep.
over a
We got the
weekend.
photo up for a little bit. So
Okay, good. Well, anyway, so there you have it. I had a lot of people asking for that. And if you were tuned in this morning and you're not watching the feed, you can always go back and
Yep.
watch that, and
Yeah,
then you'll
just
be able to grab that.
you can go to the podcast section of kbrfradio.com, click on podcast, then Morning Talk Magazine, or pop it open on the KBRF YouTube page. Just go to YouTube and type in KBRF, look for today's show, and then about the midpoint, we'll have the recipe, the
Okay.
photo, all that's in there.
Okay, sounds good. Well, remember that fire? I think it was just over the weekend on Long Island. And thankfully, they were able to put it out pretty quickly, but it did cause some serious damage. 600 acres burned over the
Wow.
weekend after a Long Island family attempted to make s'mores.
Idiots.
Anyway, authorities say the bushfires that ravaged eastern Long Island can actually be traced to one Manorville backyard. Commissioner Kevin Catalina said the family members used a piece of cardboard to start a fire, which soon spread out of control. It is believed that the embers from each of the fire, or from the fire, traveled and continuously started more fires. A burn ban is now in place for Long Island, New York City, and Hudson Valley. So, anyway,
If you have a bonfire in the backyard, A, make sure it's not windy. B, well, actually, I should say A, and A,
right.
have
If
a
there's a
water source.
right, right, exactly. You know, growing up, and I think I've told this story many times before, but um, as a family, we would have, campfires out at the
Yep.
cabin or in the woods or whatever. But never, ever growing up did we have a campfire that we didn't have 2 5-gallon pails of water
Yep.
right next to it. My dad was a fireman and he took that seriously and he was never going to take a chance. And never did we ever have a problem. We didn't really ever have to use it. But when we were done with the fire, my dad still poured those buckets out on the fire to make sure that there were no lasting embers anywhere.
Yep.
So never a bad idea. I think of my dad every time we make a campfire at the lake. And oftentimes, the fire starts to die down and we call it a night and we go inside. And I lay there and think, my dad would never do that.
No,
And
always put water on it.
yep, and I have gone out repeatedly and dumped water on the fire. And I know a lot of people hate to do that because then the smoke really rolls off it. But anyway,
You
it's
have to.
just
You can't leave it unattended.
you just can't. Nope. Even if you spread it out, there's still the chance that an ember is going to be
Nope.
picked up. So anyway,
I
600 acres burned because they wanted to make s'mores.
Yep. I know somebody who, this was in the 80s, decided to burn their leaves at the lake
Boy,
cabin,
that can get out of
and
hand
that got
fast.
away, and it almost took out everybody's cabins.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you really, really have to be careful. And it's so dry out there. We're just,
yeah,
we're seeing really dry conditions. We have not seen rain for how many months? It was
well, we
last,
had we had a little rain last month.
did we?
Yes,
But nothing significant.
nothing significant, but we did
Even
get some.
typically in the fall, we'll get some fall rains in
Yep.
October.
Yep.
We never did last year. And
No.
so it is extremely dry. Oh, wait till you hear this one. Be a little careful about what you're pulling off the shelf. Doctors are reporting that more people are mixing up their eye drops with glue.
How dumb are you?
Well, why is your glue in your medicine cabinet is what I'd like to ask. But anyway, it's resulted in more patients with glue in their eyes. It's amazing how many products look similar, and we can end up putting them in our eyes by accident, said a doctor. This is why. Lash and nail glue.
Oh,
They are found in those smaller bottles. So these women that are wearing the fake eyelashes, they have nail glue. And it looks a lot like the small eye drop. And they probably would be kept maybe in the same place in your medicine cabinet because that's where you're putting on your makeup. That's where you're gluing on your fake eyelashes, I guess. Anyway, they are really encouraging people to, keep these in separate places for one thing. And if it does happen to you, you need to get to a sink, try and wash it out, or take a towel and loosen it up a little because the quicker you act, the better. So if this would happen to you. But anyway, also, maybe the importance of just plain old reading the label. Would that
Yeah,
be a good
pay
idea?
attention to what you're doing.
Yeah, I guess. Let's see what else we have for you today. Um, Americans, I thought this was interesting, mentally spend half of their paycheck before payday.
I mentally spend it. It's like, what bills do I have due?
Right. And
First of the month, mid-month.
right, exactly. They say that the average American spends half the paycheck before the money is in their account. And they discovered that about 40% allocate their pay toward overdue bills. So they're still owe from last month.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's a bummer. And about 30% ask for help from relatives.
Wow.
Oh boy. You're in big trouble then. If every month you're spending it in your head and it's money actually that you don't even have. Police say they were able to stop a massive meat heist taking place.
Meat heist?
A meat heist. And this was in Philadelphia. It happened just a couple of days ago, Tuesday morning. 4 suspects were caught loading almost 200 boxes of beef
Whoa.
into an SUV while they made the this is not my words. See, I'm reading it. Mistake of leaving the goods behind. The suspects were able to evade arrest. Officers are still trying to identify the getaway vehicle and locate the alleged thieves. The meat was valued at $55,000.
You know how you could catch them? Go on a stakeout.
One bad joke leads to another. Yeah. Oh, and I saw this in the news this morning too, and this is very sad, but I just want to give people the heads up. When we get into this, these first few days of nice weather, people are out there walking, running, and riding bike.
Mm-hmm.
And there was someone like at 7:30-ish, 7:45-ish last night in Fargo, riding bike right kind of downtown, NP Avenue and 10th Street.
Yep.
So sort of, right downtown. And it was at that hour where the sun is just going down.
Oh.
And this bicyclist was hit. He was killed, and the driver drove off.
Oh.
So they are currently still looking for that driver. And if you know anything, of course, you're supposed to call Fargo Police. But just really, we just need to watch for, kids. They're out in the yards playing with balls, and they're rolling out in the streets. And, moms and dads have little kids on bikes. And I don't know. It's just one of those things. And especially as we near that dusk. Yeah, that sunset hour. You just really, really have to be careful. So please drive carefully when you're out there. All right. Looks like we have time for a couple trivia questions.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Okay. March 15th is otherwise known as what?
Yes.
You know this.
It's International Caesar Salad Day, where you have to stab it 21 times.
No.
It's the Ides of March.
No. Who is said to have been presented to Julius Caesar in a carpet? Julius Caesar and...
Oh, Cleopatra?
Yeah. So there you go. So the Ides of March. What does the Ides of March mean, actually?
Middle of March? I don't know.
I don't know either.
March has 31 days. I don't know. I just know it's the Ides of March. So I will have my traditional Caesar salad on March 15th, and I stab it a bunch of times.
Is that's a thing?
I don't know if it's a thing. It's something I do. My wife thinks it's weird, but
You stab it how many times?
21 times.
Okay, 21 times on a Caesar salad. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, Caesar salad, we were saying the other night, all of our grandkids love Caesar salad,
Yep.
and we do too. And I always have it in the fridge. I always have a bag of Caesar salad ready to go because the kids love it. But we said the other night, wouldn't it be fun to know how many bags of Caesar salad we have consumed? Because when our grandkids are there, we go through 3 bags.
Wow.
Yeah, they eat a lot of Caesar salad, and we have it with just about every meal. I love Caesar salad.
I love Caesar salad. You got to get the big flaky Parmesan to
Oh,
put in
that's
there.
the best, isn't it? The
Oh, yeah.
shaved stuff.
The shaved,
Those
yeah.
big hunks of those flat little,
Oh, yeah.
looks like a piece of tape.
Yep. Yep.
That is the best Parmesan.
That's the Parmesan you got to get in there, and then
Oh,
you put a
goodness.
little.
I can sit down and just eat those pieces of Parmesan just like a snack. I could eat that
I
whole
know
bag.
somebody who does that too.
Do you?
Uh-huh.
Lives at your house?
I won't out her.
I absolutely love to do that. So,
I can't really, talk too much about her because I know she's listening.
oh, of course she is. Yeah.
She's still home from surgery, so she's
All right.
listening. And
Okay. Well, Jen, I'm with you because I absolutely love that cheese. And I could sit down and eat the whole bag. In fact, I just about have a couple of times. I always leave a couple pieces in the bottom just to say I didn't eat the whole thing.
I always leave like one.
Or, give a bite to somebody else so you can truly say you didn't eat the whole bag. I do that with chips too. Could you have a couple of these so I can say I didn't eat this whole bag?
I do that with those little fudge stripe cookies.
Oh, yeah?
I
Okay.
love those.
Well, we have started buying individual bags of chips. I think, for lots of reasons, kids and friends and whatever. And, when we grab food and take it on the road when we're going to a game or something. But it's mostly for me because when you get to the bottom of one of those individual bags, you are done. But if you open the big bag,
You're
I'm
never
I'm
truly
known
done.
for eating it fast just so I can eat as many chips as possible before I talk myself into quitting.
Our middle
It's
child,
terrible.
our middle child Luke will knock out any leftover chips. So
Yeah.
like if we're have them for lunch or dinner, and there's a little left, they'll mysteriously disappear, and then you
Oh.
find the empty bag in his room.
Okay. Yeah, I find empty bags in the backseat of my car often if we're on our way to a game, tucked down in those side things, Here's a great way to use up your used chips. We just take them, they get all crunchy at the bottom and there's hardly a chip by the time, you put
I just got to finish crunching them and then just tip the bag and knock it out.
Well, you could do that too. But sometimes we mix them all together and crush them up and then we use them as breading for fish or
Yeah, but they'd be soggy by then.
Oh, no, not if you. I mean, have you ever used those? I think they're called grip sticks. You fold the bag over and it looks like a straw. So imagine so I've folded the bag over. For those of you who are watching, I'll do a tutorial here. So you fold the bag over and then the grip stick goes like this. Zip. And it keeps it absolutely, completely tight. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, do a search for grip sticks and you will want them. It's the greatest gadget ever. And your chips will never go stale. I guarantee it. So there you have. There's my tutorial.
There's
Did
your
you like
tutorial. I like it.
that? All right. Well, that's your feel good for the day that your chips will never, ever go, they'll never get stale. And even this is at the lake. And when we're at the lake in the summer, you know how fast chips go stale
the
at the lake.
moisture, yeah.
Just like right away. Those grip sticks, it's the greatest. Get yourself some. All right. Coming up on 10 o'clock, that is going to wrap up another week. So thank you for joining us. Our show today and every day brought to us by Fergus Falls Monument Company and by Pioneer Care. Hope you have a great weekend.